Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Downtime in the Ring. This week, we have a very special guest. But before we get to that, obviously, we got to pay the bills. So, if you guys are ever needing to vent, needing to talk, just needing to have that one on one, use the hashtag tag me in. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to Chris. You can join our Discord, reach out to anybody on there. We actually do have a channel called Tag Me In. And if you just need a vent, you just need to release your anger or your stress or anything like that, you know we are here for you because you should never be alone, especially in the wrestling industry because it is very, very tough. Shout out to WSN for making us the official podcast of the Wrestling Society Network app. You can find it on Roku, on Amazon Fire Stick, on Apple TV, soon to be Samsung. I say it every week because I get more and more mad. I don't have a Roku or any of like that. So I hope we will have it on soon and on iOS and Android. And of course, shout out. We are the sponsors for TZ's Table. You can check out his podcast every month. You can see all the amazing guests that he has, and he has some pretty incredible ones. Very interesting. Never thought I would ever see them on a wrestling podcast here coming up soon. Very interesting. You can also check out his top fives every week as he goes and chooses a random artist and goes through their top five in his opinion. He just recently did a collaboration with Adam Copeland that you guys need to check out. It was really cool. But this week, we have the host of everything pro wrestling on YouTube, 2.9 thousand subscribers, one of the biggest one in this sphere. How you doing, brother?
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys inviting me on. Conrad Kushman, Buffalo, New York. If you got, I don't know if this is going to be audio listeners. I'm rocking a Bills jersey, or not jersey, a T-shirt. Excuse me, Bills T-shirt today. So big Buffalo Bills fan as well. 716, stand up.
Oh, he part of the mafia. He
Oh
part of
yeah,
the mafia. Oh
oh yeah.
no. So, brother, what is everything pro wrestling? Can you give us a little breakdown about that?
It is everything pro wrestling basically. We talk about the main things lately have been dynamite reviews that we do on Wednesdays. Me and my partner Derek, we go through that. Derek's been a childhood friend since like fourth grade, so it's kind of like two friends who are just sitting down who watch Dynamite together, and we just give our thoughts. On Mondays, I host Clash of the Podcast with Sean Hubbard of Hubbard Wrestling Weekly, where we bring both of our podcasts together. And that's more like a debate style show where we will like go back and forth about something that just happened. Like we just did like Backlash France was a topic. Another topic was like the struggles of Dynamite. So you'll get like a mixture of things on there. You might hear about some New Japan. You might hear about TNA, MLW, whatever it may be.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, there's no restriction on what we'll talk about. If you bring it up, I'm pretty sure I'm like, yeah, I can talk about that. Sure.
That's cool. That's what we try to keep our weekly lives, at least for ourselves. We have a crew that normally will bring on about another 2 to 3. If sometimes we'll have all 6 of us on here and we'll just talk about everything pro wrestling and for like an hour and a half if we can. Sometimes we have to cut it short, or sometimes we'll go longer with our prediction episodes. So, how long have you been doing everything pro wrestling? How long have you been a podcaster and a content creator in this wrestling sphere?
Officially since 2016. I started then, and I probably would have done it a lot sooner if I wasn't going to school at the time. I was doing college and stuff like that. And I really wanted to focus just to make sure that I got all, you want to get your grades right, you want to get your stuff right. So we're promoting positivity over here as well. So make sure you're studying, and then you can get to your goals afterwards. I do have some remorse, like I wish I would have started it earlier, but at the same token, I'm like, it was pretty cool to go through the journey and learning how to do stuff. Like I had no clue how to do graphics before this, and now I know how to do graphics. We can do this, we can do that, we can make something happen, and it's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty
Mhm.
cool. Like I said, you've grown over to almost 3,000 subscribers. That's insane, my guy, especially for, like you said, everybody has a wrestling podcast, or there's millions of wrestling podcasts out there. What do you think makes yours different from most?
I think the key thing when you do podcasting is you have to be yourself, number one. I know that's like one of those like cliche things to say when it comes down to it, but being yourself is key. I think a lot of people will get to know you even through wrestling. There's things that will like divide people. Like I'm sure you guys know, Montreal Screwjob, you're either a Brett guy or a Sean guy. There's really no in between. I do like both of them, but my brother's like a huge Bret Hart fan. I'm a Shawn Michaels fan. It's the Elite or CM Punk. I am a big time CM Punk fan. So that's, you know what I mean? But then I'll have people like, your opinion sucks. And then the other day I'm in like some chats that talk pro wrestling sometimes. And I'm like, dude, I know that you said you didn't like me because of my Punk opinion, but me and you are pretty similar on everything else. I swear to you, bro. And then the guy was like, yeah, you're actually pretty cool, man. I just thought you were a jerk because of the CM Punk. And I'm just like, I can't believe how fast people will do that stuff. So the key is to be yourself. And I think things like that will come out. Like people know I used to rap. People didn't know that. And they're like, you were a rapper? And I'm like, yeah. I'll pull out like the album cover and I'm like, yeah. And it's me and my buddy Derek. I'm like, yeah, we rapped. People will learn like, oh, he understands business stuff. Like I did a video about a SWOT analysis one time and someone was like, dude, that video could have been so much better if you would have just said review. Like I'm breaking it down in business aspects. Like, what are you doing, bro? Way too smart to do this. So you go through, there's trial and error with some things. Like I'm like, okay, I gotta make this so that everybody understands what I'm saying and what I'm trying to explain for certain things. And and then people know I love the wrestling video games. That's another huge thing. Like I used to be in a group called XGW. Shout out to all those guys who helped me run that years and years ago. That also led to my love of pro wrestling, but we would have like a league. We were one of the biggest leagues and eFeds on PlayStation. Not by like choice, it just happened by accident. Like it just blossomed into this thing that just grew out of control. And we were like, how did this happen? And then we were doing it for years and years and years until we just were like, you know what? We're all getting older. I have a kid that is also referred to on the podcast as the intern. So if people hear him yelling in the background, they just know. And I'm like, yep, that's the intern just running around screaming right by the door when I'm recorded. You can't change that stuff. That stuff happens, but laugh about it. Make a joke about it. I used to freak if a mistake happened, like freak. If someone like opened the door and I used to have a sign on my door that was like, do not enter. And people would still like, oh, sorry, dude. Sorry. I'm like, what's the point? What's the point? So if something happens, you just roll with it.
I agree with that, especially since we're still newer and we're still trying to figure this out. We're, at least for the show, we're about to hit our first year mark. So we are still babies when this comes. We're green. We're still in training. We haven't debuted yet. All of that. Any kind of way you want to say it, that's where we are currently. But very thankful that you actually came on the show, that you answered. One thing I like to ask, especially because a certain somebody put us in a group chat together, is what is your relationship with TZ? Like, how did you come to meet TZ?
Okay, so this goes through the journey a little bit. So in my younger days, I was on Twitter. I ended up so we were doing connecting things just like we're doing right now. Me and a bunch of content creators were like, yeah, we're all just trying to make it. Maybe we can get somewhere. Maybe we'll get put on by Fightful or something. I don't know what this is going to lead to, but let's see what happens. So we all started working together, and then the flow started feeling really good with certain people. You're like, yeah, that felt really nice. Like that was smooth. And a couple people had an idea, and I heard multiple people say this idea of like, what if we started a network similar to how you mentioned WSN? Let's start a network and all work together, but we can create our own. I put these people in touch with each other. Shout out to those folks. I'm going to leave them nameless for right now because I don't know if they want to be named at this moment because I don't even think they podcast anymore. But I put them together. They talked. One person decided to join the other person. And I thought I was going to be in that original group. Womp womp. They didn't want me in the group. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But they were like, oh, I already got someone else in mind. And you seem like you only talk mainstream wrestling. Once again, people don't know. I could talk TNA, I could talk ML, I could talk it all. So whatever. But they were looking for something else. And I was just like, okay, cool. I got an interview with Marty the Moth Martinez, was how it first started. So that allowed me then, once they saw I had that, they were like, wait, do you have like connections and stuff? I was like, no, I just met the guy and I asked him on Twitch one day. I was like, hey, would you mind doing an interview? And he was like, no, of course. And for weeks and weeks, it wasn't happening. That he just said, let's do it today. And I'm like, I'm on. And that was back when I could do stuff like that. We started up. It's called Brainbuster Radio. There's you could probably find it in archive somewhere. And I believe I was on Saturday. So before it debuted, they did end up asking me to join. So WrestleMania 35, I think, was the weekend it debuted. We do all the stuff. And they would go through and get guests. So the person who ran it had connections to like TNA, any wrestling company you could think of that wasn't WWE. We had connections to where we could get interviews and do different things. I interviewed people like Jake Chris, you name them. And one day he had an interview lined up and he was like, I got this guy that I want you to interview. And I was like, me? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, who is it? He was like, his name is Teasy. And I'm like, oh, why do you want me to interview him? Basically, hip hop fan, hip hop guy. This makes sense. You go do the interview with him. I talked to Teasy, instant connection right away. We were talking about rap, who his favorite wrestler was. He was a big Bret the Hitman Hart fan. We get into every single thing about it. And Teasy has since then like introduced me to a bunch of people. So it's weird that I get excited when I see him be able to perform like Sammy Guevara's theme song on AEW. It's crazy that I'm like, yo, I know that guy. I can call that guy. Like, I know him. That's my bud, you know? And you then see someone like Swerve, and I'm like, yo, that's really dope. Like that, I knew who Shane Strickland was before all this happened. I'm a big Killshot fan. Don't get me started about Lucha Underground. I'll talk all day about it. That was Killshot. I'm like, that is another person. I'm like, dude, this guy is going to be something. Go back and follow any of my old reviews. You will hear certain things that people are like, man, he said it a long time ago. I'm like, that guy, people are going to look over him in the beginning. I said, he is going to become something in AEW. I knew it instantly from the start. I was mad when they weren't using him in NXT. I've also met other people like Rich Latta, another great person. I love talking wrestling with him. He's probably one of the funniest people that people would never expect. But I love him. He does good work on One Nation Radio. There's a lot of people that I've met through Teasy, man, and it's just been a blessing. And you guys are now on that list as well.
That's insane. Right. The parallels between you and
I was going to say
kind of beginning.
I was going to say, but do you want to tell him?
Yeah, because one of our first huge interviews was actually Martin Casals as well.
Yeah.
So we had met him at a indie show in a bar in Utah, and we're just like, hey, Donovan, let's go try and get him on the podcast. And we were so afraid to ask him, but we were like, he was there just to represent his training camp. But it's insane the parallels that you had just mentioned. So
yeah, he's a sweetheart. He's a sweetheart.
Yeah,
like, he's such a nice dude. Even his, I think it's his wife now. I'm not sure if they got married or not, but yes. I knew them before they got married. So she is super nice. I don't know how she puts up with him sometimes, but super nice. And I love when they used to do the live streams together of them just talking and playing games and stuff. Really great, man. Follow Marty, man. If you guys don't on Twitch, show him some love.
That's awesome. When you were like Marty the Moth Martinez, I looked straight at Chris and I was like, oh my god. So that's like a memory that we'll always have, because I'm in training to be a wrestler. So one of the guys that's already debuted, he was like, hey, I need some people to ride up. Chris had never worked an indie event before, so I was like, hey dude, we want to work in this industry. Do you want to drive up? Do you want to help drive? And from that trip, the biggest and probably best thing out of it was the fact that we got Marty. But that's so cool, man. Like I always say, the world of professional wrestling is so big, yet so small, yet so big. You're going to find somebody who knows somebody that's doing something crazy.
Yep. Just like Buffalo, I would say the world's biggest little city.
That's insane, my guy. That's so cool. So from, your story of wanting to work on a network and then you just going and doing your own thing, like, how proud are you of how big your channel is currently? Because I mean, that is still a remarkable feat to get a few thousand people to subscribe to you, especially in our niche. Because if you're not somebody of a big name like a Chris Van Vliet or something, people are having a tough time sticking to you, which, you know, how, like I said, how proud of you are of your channel.
Very. I think though that so one of the reasons why I came on and you were just like, oh, thank you for that. And I don't want to put you on blast, but you have to do stuff like this. You have to, because it's giving back. Because I was at one point in the exact same position you were, and I was like, dude, I wish somebody would just give me a chance. Like, I promise I'm not going to screw it up. Please, please, please. And I was finally given that opportunity. Chris Van Vliet did an interview with me. He didn't know who I was, had no reason to say yes. He just did one with me. Conrad Thompson, he promised me an interview for a year. And I went back a year later and he kept his word and came to that interview. That's probably the one interview I wish I could redo, because I think I could have done it a lot better. But I still am happy that I got to speak to Conrad Thompson and just see him in action. Just like, why do you make the moves that you move? Why do you do what you do? And you learn a lot from those folks. And I think they're part of the growth too. It's not only just me and my friends talking wrestling. My channel has went through different, like, what is this show supposed to be? At first it was just about fans and we were just talking wrestling. Then I was getting interviews and stuff like that. And then it turned into let's do review shows and let's talk about this. So it changes. And then there's times where I'm just streaming a video game. Oh, he's streaming Fire Pro World right now? Yeah, why not? Sure, let's do it. He's talking New Japan Pro Wrestling right now? Yeah. I do end of the year awards. I let people who know me vote on it. Cool. It's always fun. It's just something to talk about, something to do. And I feel like everything's been done, but you got to just find a way to make something your own, if that makes any sense.
Especially with like personalities like as of the last year, the TikTok content creator, wrestling creators are now kind of the in thing, and they're also kind of putting their own stamp on it, but it's their own niche. So it's insane how like crazy, like even Donovan has to navigate the business end, and then I'm trying to see how like we navigate in the main in our own little niche, trying to with our own interviews and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting. Was there any like point that like and it happens with all content creators at a certain given point, was there like a point where you weren't getting those views, and what did you do in terms of like kind of gathering engagement and stuff like that? Was there any little like niche things that you did, or did you just keep trudging and stuff like that?
I am someone will either say that this guy's an idiot or they'll say that this dude has tenacity. I once lost my keys in the snow and I knew they were out there. And shout out to my dad, God rest his soul. I'll never forget this argument the one day. And he was like, why are you out here looking for your keys? And I was just like, I know they're out here. I know they're out here somewhere. He's like, let's just go. We can get a new key. It's not a big deal. I'm like, no, they're out here. I'm not doing that. I'm not spending extra money. I'm also cheap. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm not spending any extra money on keys. It's probably like $75. And why would we waste the money on it? So we were sitting there like having this argument. And I'm not kidding. So in Buffalo, it was snowy that day. I got a shovel and I just go, 1, all the snow pops up. 2, and then I swear to you, like on the third one, I saw the keys pop up in the air and I snatched them and I said, told you, save that money. He was just like, he's the one dude. I was out there for like an hour. He was like, he just doesn't give up. He never gives up. So there are times where I've wanted to quit. Sure. I have a video where it's like, oh, I only got 50 views, you know? I set goals for myself after a while too. Like right now, the current goal is always hit triple digits. All my videos should try to hit triple digits right now. I think it's realistic. There been weeks where I'm like at 90 and you're like, oh, come on, what happened here? It's tough, man. It's tough. You're competing against, think about this. You guys are competing against Kevin Nash. You're competing against Dave Meltzer. You're competing against Sean Ross Sapp. This isn't like some, oh man, these guys are getting money like crazy. When people donate to me, I'm shocked. I'm like, what? You gave me $2. You gave me $20. What's up? You guys will get there. I'm just telling you. You just have to keep putting in the work and just keep getting creative. There may be times where you have to say, let's sit down and go to the drawing board. even if it's weeks of you still doing the same thing that you've always done, but if you guys feel like there's a need to change, you'll know it, and then you'll just move forward from it. That's what we do.
I gotta be 100% honest. Like, those are great examples. I don't consider any of them. Like he said, I have to go through. I am battling through the business aspect. I only ever see our brand and our channel and our opportunities. So I don't know if that's a bad thing, but I don't ever consider those guys because we're not anywhere close to them yet. Once and if we ever do, then yeah, I'll start being like, okay, this is where it gets difficult. But until that day, no.
It's I say that it's something that you could still set your eyes on, but you'll get a lot of comparisons. I'm sure you guys have had trolls in the chat. There's always someone in there trying to say something smart or be funny, or people who like to stir the pot and things like that. You just have to watch that for that stuff. And I do think those guys matter. I treat it more so like we're the indies kind of podcasting. We are fan podcasts. My opinion is a fan's opinion. It might be different with you because my tagline is by the fans for the fans. Yeah. Lame, cheesy as it may be. My brother told me, I said it one time in the very, very beginning of when I started doing it. And my brother watches a lot of YouTube and he said, say that every time you do your video. And I was like, really? And sometimes I got obnoxious with it. I turned into Mr. Kennedy and I'd just be like, wait for it. And then now everybody just knows the lines. When I hit them, they know the lines are going to happen. Say the line. People are just waiting for it. So those are little things that you guys can think about. I don't know, man. I just think it's always good to even watch your competition, though, because what I've noticed is when I make a change, a lot of other people in bigger platforms make the same change. And you could date stamp some of this stuff and check it out. Watch some of the bigger fan podcasts on YouTube and tell me when they started doing live shows every week. I started with live shows. And I was just like, I saw the vision. So I'm like, I'm doing something right if these guys are following what I see as well. Then I was like, well, these guys are all by themselves on a screen just like we are, and they're just talking. I'll get a co-host. Now they're getting co-hosts. And I'm like, wow, that's really weird. Like that you're watching that and you're peeping it. And I don't know. I just really, really think it's good to be up on game and sometimes just to watch your competition. But it's also good. But like you said, I'm also very focused on what am I doing? What can I do to be better? I have a Discord. I have an Instagram. I have a TikTok. I have this. I have that. And everything's the same name. I try to keep it so that you guys can follow at EPWSHOW if anyone cares. And yeah, that's the moves that you're just trying to make. So you have to focus on your own thing, and the rest of it's up to you, though. Everyone has different personalities when it comes to that stuff.
That's why I'm grateful for Chris. Oh wait, the other side. That's why I'm grateful for Chris, because he'll tell me, "Oh, hey, we were having a conversation about this, I think last week or the week before that he had noticed that a new show had followed us on Instagram and that they would ask the same generic questions. And then once we uploaded one of our latest interviews, they changed. They started asking more in-depth questions. I was like, maybe we're doing something right."
Yep.
For two small New Mexico boys, maybe we're doing something. Who knows? Who knows? But we can't have a wrestling episode without talking about some wrestling.
Absolutely.
What were your thoughts on Backlash? Preferably, I have one thing. Did you like the crowd or did you not like the crowd?
I had no issues with the crowd. I'd rather a crowd be fun than sit on their hands.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Agree.
That's just my thoughts and opinion on it. I don't know. The crowd made the show. Backlash was fun. It's different though. It's different to see just 6 matches on the card. It's like the old NXT takeover style. You get 6 matches, but they're going to be given time. Sometimes I feel like they're wasting time on the shows, but for the most part, I've got nothing to complain about. If it's good, it's good. You got less room for error though. I think if one match is bad, it hurts the overall show a little bit.
Yeah. We talked about that women's tag team title match. Definitely could have been a lot more fluid than what it was, but I just wanted your opinion on it because a lot of people seem to hate the French crowd, especially because they went 3 hours nonstop, but that's just who they are. I mean, it's the same way as watching a soccer match over there. They're gonna start and stop before getting to the parking lot. Like that's just how it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never had like a hatred for like the crowd when they blow up the beach ball and they're bouncing it back and forth. Like, okay, have fun. Is anybody getting hurt? Okay, cool. I get why maybe take away the beach ball in case someone leans over and then someone falls into another chair or something, or drunk people at wrestling shows are drunk people at wrestling shows. So you don't want to deal with that sometimes. Fine, I get it. But anytime the crowd is that loud, that rambunctious, that into the show, I'm not stopping anything that's keeping them into go ahead, do what you want.
Yeah, and even like I had said that this is just like this France crowd is just a pent up of years and years and years and years and years of just European tours and house shows. This is a house show audience that are finally given a chance to be put on television. And so it's one of those things where, like, if anything, I was more pissed off that I didn't understand what they were chanting rather than why they were chanting. So if anything, I can understand the annoyance of that aspect, but as far as hating on that crowd, come on, you're going to see it a lot considering after what happened that night.
Yeah, I took a little French, so I was all right with it. I think I can last. My audience found that out about me this week too. They were like, he knows French, and I started speaking French all of a sudden on the show. They were like, what? I was like, I got a D in it, guys. Chill out. Like, relax. I wasn't that good.
Yeah, you better teach him, my co-host over here, French, because he said some out-of-pocket thing in French and had one of our other friends explain to him what he just said.
We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. I didn't know what it meant. It was on a kid's movie. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know that it meant something completely different than what it was. It was on a. I know that's not a Mandela effect. I know it wasn't. It was on a kid's movie. I swear. But at the state of pro wrestling, you know how we are supposed to enter the new era. Some people are, we'll keep saying it. Some people are tired of it. What are your thoughts? Like, what are your expectations going into this new era? And it's not just WWE. Yeah, they said it first, but you can see it across every company, including the indies, that something just magically has changed since WrestleMania 40.
I don't know how to feel about it. It's in a very weird influx right now with what has happened. I'm trying to think of how to say this without saying people's names that I don't want to say. From other companies, there have been people who have ran much major companies. I will call him Gomez for the purposes of this, like I do on my show. Gomez McMahon ran a wrestling company for a long, long time, and he now that he's gone, I feel like people are celebrating that the changes can finally happen. It took a while to get new camera shots. Kevin Dunn's gone. It's kind of out with the old regime and people that were loyal to that regime, and now we have a new regime, and it's under Triple H, it's under Nick Khan, and they're trying to make things different. Okay, cool. That's on that side of things. I also don't like the tribalism that's going on currently in pro wrestling. It's so annoying. Like, I feel like even with some of my friends, I can't have conversations. Even I was doing something yesterday and people got into it in the chat, and I'll make points. I'll say, well, if it was okay for this person to do this, how come it's okay for that? I think we got into it over WrestleMania 41 going to Vegas, and I said, why did Minnesota think they were getting it for months? And then all of a sudden plans just changed. What? I thought there was a bidding process, and then people were like, oh, be quiet. I'm like, because I'm using logic, like there was a process to this. So overall, I would like for wrestling to be better, but I think that the mind state of fans has to broaden, it has to open. I don't know. I'm interested to hear what you guys think of it too, because like AEW, people say like there's no storytelling. I disagree with that a lot. With what they do, it's more in-ring action than people would want to hear about. If you're a WWE fan, you might not like it as much, but that doesn't mean it's bad. I remember as a kid, I watched WCW Saturday nights. I'm an old head, by the way. You're going to tell here in a second. I remember watching people like Jushin Thunder Liger versus Fly and Brian Pillman. I just saw it on TV one day and I was like, yo, that dude is cool. He's got a sweet mask. He's got a sweet cape. I want to know more about this dude. He's from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Sticks in my head. I always remember it. Oh, okay. New Japan Pro Wrestling. I would love to watch that. Then they would show the highlights of Sting and the Steiner brothers going over there having tag matches. Muda became the world champion. He's wrestling Barry Windham and Ric Flair. You've got Chono, and you get all these people, you learn about them. And then today you hear people who are going to complain like about who is Blue Demon Jr. on AEW? I don't know who he is. I'm like, well, obviously his dad is Blue Demon. Like, I don't know what you guys want me to tell you. Like, I don't know. Watch the match and see if you could learn something about him. See if you think he's cool. See if you like his moveset. I don't know. What are you into in pro wrestling? I get that that's up to AEW to tell you that, but I also understand too, like some people are just gonna like it. Like I go out and I'll research these guys. I'm like, where are you from? CMLL. Okay. Who have you wrestled? Oh, he's in a cool story with so and so right now. You could look that stuff up and figure out some things too on your own. It goes both ways. That's all I'm just trying to say with it. And I think people have to be understanding of both sides of it. I just hate when people say like, oh, there's no storytelling in AEW. And I'm like, no, there is. I can break down the stories before the pay-per-view to you if you want. You know what I mean? I'm sure you guys preview it too. And it's like, yeah, come on, guys. There's stories here. And I wish that more people would give some of the smaller shows a chance. If TNA, MLW, your local indie is near you, go see it. I tell people this all the time. Like, go to a WrestleMania. Go once. I know it's a lot of money, but save up and go one time. I've went twice. Go once. You just have to experience one time if you're a wrestling fan. I also think that people should try to support the smaller companies. TNA needs some love right now. I feel like they're in a rough patch. They lost Scott D'Amore. Now the interest was up here, and now it's like sliding down. And WWE's eating good, but that doesn't mean everyone else is. Like, you're starting to see stuff dip for everyone else. And I don't know why that is. I can't explain it. I'm looking at charts. I'm trying to see things. WWE has a massive PR team that can tell you how and what they want to do things with. But overall, with the industry, you guys talk about the new era. I don't know. I have hope that it'll be better, but I also see some things that I'm like, oh, this is still the same. It's pro wrestling. It's the same pro wrestling. You wish that it's like, can't we all just get along? But it's never gonna. Sometimes I'm like, it's not gonna work like that.
Yeah, no, I agree because like how you said, like you saw Jushin Thunder Liger and Brian Pillman one day. I wouldn't have known what the IWGP Tag Team Champions were when Team 3D defended them on TNA. I wouldn't have known who Kazuchika Okada was before he became Kazuchika Okada. I just knew him as the guy from the mask. I knew the Great Sonata, and then he became Sonata. You know, there's little things like that, nuances. I loved TNA back then, and even now, I kind of dropped off after the whole Dixie Carter stuff and pandemic, yada yada. But I've always kept up. That was my introduction to the outer rim of professional wrestling outside of the mainstream stuff. So I completely agree with what you said. Like, just do your research. Like, look up a Wikipedia, see a match right here. Like, it's not that hard, but again, like you said, goes both ways.
100%. Like, my introduction outside of WWE was a local channel called the CW Network, showing at 1:00 in the morning Ring of Honor replays, and I'm like, oh, there's a whole different. They don't just do this in WWE. Like, there's actual other companies with other men and women that want to make it, and that was my introduction. From, you know, the plans that we have and the crew that we've assembled through Downtime in the Ring, we all have our separate likes and dislikes. We all have our separate tastes. I'm one of the very few that's like has mad love for AEW, especially being able to go see them live and get to see local indie wrestlers that I know, or even my coach before he was my coach. That was my physical introduction to him, was from AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation, and getting to see that these guys are still getting their chances, even though, you know, it's on YouTube and it's on TNT before the actual show. But I just have more hope, and I think I blind myself sometimes, but I continuously have more hope that professional wrestling will be better. I know the forbidden door, quote unquote, with WWE going out to other companies is very, very slim, but you know, being somebody that wants to compete, it's something that just drives me more and more, is that, you know, you never know who's going to come to town and how loose with the rules they're going to be. We actually got to help. Well, I got to help ring setup and ring takedown for GCW. They just recently came to a city of ours. My camp helped put it on, so I got to do that. Chris got to, you know, just be a fan, just watch it, get to enjoy it while I'm looking around, watching people and trying to watch the show at the same time. And it makes me hope that professional wrestling will one day at least be decent with each other. After seeing and experiencing all of these amazing things, you know, it's that kid in me that just wants that multiverse of just, you never know who's going to show up.
Yeah, it's and that's the one thing I will big up AEW for, is letting their talent work other shows, letting them show up. How cool would it be to just see Too Cold Scorpio versus insert Kenny Omega, insert, you know what I mean? Like, he could just show up. What if you get Sammy Guevara on the show all of a sudden and he's going to take on Nick Gage? You don't know what could happen. Crazier things have happened, and I love when there's less predictability in what they could do as far as surprising us. I always tell people predictability is not bad, and I will stand by that always, because if you thought it probably makes sense. But nothing wrong with throwing a little surprise in there once in a while, just to get people like, you didn't think that was going to happen, did you? Gotcha. And wrestling fans love that stuff, man. I tell people this: wrestling fans would be the best, like, FBI agents. This Bray Wyatt stuff, like when they were doing all the characters and even the stuff that pops up now with the QR codes. How do people figure this out? How do you have this much time? Like, I don't understand it. I'm like, I saw people, they were like deciphering codes for letters, and I'm like, you guys are in the wrong field. Like, you guys should be working in an office somewhere, like figuring out crimes instead of doing this. What is this? Crazy.
I know, it goes back to the fandom, to letting yourself be a kid and trying to figure out everything, like the same way when we'd play video games and we would try to figure out the secret sides that, you know, the strategy guides didn't give us. And we're like, oh, this door's not here. Why is the door not here?
You know how long I spent trying to decipher Chris Jericho's End of the World promo? You know how long I was like, it can't be Jericho. He's not showing up. No. And then all that stuff. So I totally agree, Donovan.
Yeah. Like, it's just that inner kid in us that's like, no, we're going to figure this out. And if we don't, we're probably going to cry and just hate ourselves after, but somebody's going to figure this out for us.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I love a good surprise sometimes, where people, where you just get gotten to. There's more than just good matches. I went to Forbidden Door last year. I saw that Kenny Omega Will Ospreay match live, like up close, impersonal, and dog. When I tell you, I couldn't even cheer anymore for the Danielson Okada match. And that match was great too. But everyone's like, you guys were so quiet. We were exhausted from the match before. That's what really happened. I was just sitting there and I was like, man, this is tough. I'm just like, I want to cheer, I want to yell, but I can't. Like, I'm out of it. And then eventually you would pick it up. And then when Danielson just put that nasty looking submission on and he tapped, I'm like, that's crazy. That's another thing that I've loved that AEW has, like, incorporated. Losing from a regular move. Why not? Why not make the finishes unexpected sometimes, so then people will be shocked. And then when you do the kickouts, they'll pop for them even more. Like, oh, that was amazing.
Oh, I can agree with that, especially because I can't remember who it was. I think it was one of Indy Hartwell's last matches in NXT. she won with a bulldog, and people were angry on Twitter. They were like, that doesn't happen. Why would she do that? What kind of lazy writing? And that's the point. That is the absolute point. She wouldn't normally do that. If we still want to keep the cloak of professional wrestling, then these wrestlers have to do something unique and unexpected to win. So I like your take on that, especially with the fact that you got to go see, Forbidden Door live. I'm jealous, my guy. That's
Listen,
awesome.
I had to go to Toronto for that. I had to take a trip, so it was a little bit of a hike. And then I know there's a Dynamite coming up in Buffalo. I just got tickets for that as well.
To be fair, you're in Buffalo, sir. So how far is a hike to Toronto? Like
It's a
hop,
little
skip?
ways.
You're right there to Canada.
You still got to go through customs. The people who I travel with, there's going to be some problems always. Like, I got to talk to you on the side here. What's up with you, man?
No.
Damn.
No. It's just one of those things that we know when we go. Like, I'm like, they're going to pull you over and ask you about this, right? And he's like, it's not me. It's not me. I swear. And he has to go through the story every time. And then I just look at him. I'm like, gotta be better than that, man. Gotta be better than that.
So as we begin to wind down, what's a piece of advice that you can give us and any other podcasters that are trying to grow their channel even to your size? What's something that you can leave, some advice that you can leave for us?
Make connections. Keep connections. Even if you're not going to interview them and stuff anymore, just keep the connections, keep the conversation going always. And I think the main thing is don't stop doing what you're doing. It's okay to come up with new ideas, but people expect that episode from you. Like I said, Mondays live 6:05, every Monday 6:05. Those people are in there, and then it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. We haven't missed a week yet, and we're on 88 episodes we just did this week. So, and we haven't missed one yet. Will the time come where we have to? Absolutely, more than likely. But I'm trying to show everybody, like, look, the more you do it, something can happen. Do we replace one of us if it happens? We haven't decided that yet, but you want to keep it going. And I think that's the main thing. Pick your times and make those your times. That Mondays at 6:05, I am your Raw pre-show. I own that time. That is my time. Wednesdays, I share with a lot of people. But how do I get people in there to stick with me for a Dynamite review? I got to be different. I'm talking. I'm doing something here. The beginning of the show, I'm like, oh, man, I'm the first one. I try to make sure I go live before any other YouTuber platform is on there going live. There's one person who may beat me that I think of. But other than that, I'm like, nope, I'm here. Let's go. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Well, sir, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me at EPW Show. You can even type that in on YouTube if you guys want to check out everything pro wrestling. Please do. You guys can also just type in EPW Show. That's all my social media handles. Like I said, we got a store for t-shirts and things like that. There's some funny t-shirts. Shout out to Rob and Derek and Jesse, who helped design them. Those are my friends. They've just given me shirt designs. Why? Because they're cool and they just decided to. So I put them up sometimes. So if you see a shirt and you like it, feel free. TeePublic, EPW Show on all the social media platforms. And I want to thank you guys here before. I'm not going to let you get out of here without getting your stuff too. Downtime in the Ring. Make sure that you guys check them out as well. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and like their videos. Leave them a 5-star rating on all the audio platforms, man. Those help a lot too. So asking people to leave you the 5-star review, nothing wrong with it. Get you in that YouTube algorithm.
All righty. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is our episode with Conrad. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully next time, though, we don't have an interview. I'd like to do something where we have like a debate or something. I'd like that. I would love to do that.
I'm always down.
Oh, I'm down. Oh, this is good. You get your team, we get our team, and we see we just have fun with it. I'd love to do it. Love to pick our. Ironically, Chris mentioned this, I think, during our Backlash watch along, that he would like to do a war game style where we have our team versus another podcast teams and we just talk wrestling. I think that'd be one of the coolest things that we could do. Hopefully we can, plan that soon. Maybe we'll pick a pay-per-view to preview or something like that, discuss over. I would love to do that.
Yeah, most definitely. Reach out, and like I said, if I can make it happen, I will.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this episode of Downtime in the Ring, and we will see y'all in the next episode.